fair question for you, Dad. What do you think Chris Davis's plan's going to be to keep everyone happy? Because, that is a lot of players to manage. That's a lot of players to keep happy. And I know...
Beer.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And there's no doubt this summer at Birmingham City has been absolutely incredible. I think most would agree this has to be one of the best summer transfer windows on record. And there's been a lot of incomings. There's also been a lot of outgoings that a lot of Blues fans might not have realised, actually, the amount of turnover we've had at this club. So we thought we'd do a video about our overview, our thoughts of the summer transfer window, and just give our thoughts on some of the players that have came in, some of the players which have left, and just a general overview, really. So, Dad, the transfer window is now closed. One, are you relieved? And two, what are your thoughts on the summer transfer window?
I'm very relieved it's closed. I mean, we have been so busy. As you know, we do player profile videos when we sign players, and we've struggled to keep up, haven't we? It's at certain times we've had the players coming in left, right, and centre, and obviously that takes us preparation time and time to record as well. But I'm glad it's over. But I can look back and reflect now, and I didn't expect it in terms of it's a stunning transfer window and one
best you've ever known.
Yeah, without a doubt. It was without a doubt the best transfer window I've ever known. I'm sure a lot of Blues fans would agree. Let us know if you can tell us a better one. It'd be lovely to put the comments below and let us know when it was. But I think it's the transfer window like no other. For League One, for what the club have done, we needed an overhaul of the squad. There was no doubt, but I didn't expect this much of an overhaul. I'm just going to briefly just skim, just so that Blues fans know and realise. I'm sure you do now, but when I read this out in one go, you'll realise how many players we've let go. As I'm reading this in your own time, you can cheer or be sad. But here's the players that we've sold in this transfer window. Okay, Jordan James, Ivan Sunic, Gary Gardner, Neil Etheridge, Mark Roberts, John Ruddy, Zach Geacock, our reserve goalkeeper, he went to Lincoln, Janini Abakuna, Tyler Roberts has gone out on loan. Sariki Dembele, Koji Miyoshi, Emmanuel Longello has gone out on loan. Scott Hogan, George Hall has gone out on loan. Alex Pritchard, Ramel Donovan has gone out on loan. And then we've also had Cody Drama, Andre Dezal, Jay Stansfield went back, and now we've got him back. And very sadly, Ollie Burke, all of them went. So in total, if you total those up, that's 20 departures.
That is mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, I think sometimes we forget about that as Blues fans. And when we left for the Norwich game, Dad, it was a sinking, horrible feeling, wasn't it? But the one relief, I guess, was knowing that we were at the end of an FFP cycle. We knew a lot of players were out of contract.
Yeah.
We knew that a big, intense summer transfer window was coming, but I had no idea the level of outgoings and incomings, and the 17 players that we've got, majority fully contracted, relatively young players. What a window! It's been absolutely mind-blowing.
Just to close the circle, shall I just read out what we've got coming now? Because obviously, if we just left it at that, we've got no squad, have we? But here's a reminder, guys, of the fantastic players that we've actually signed. Okay. Ryan Allsop, Bailey Peacock-Farrell, Alfie May, Emil Hansen, Alex Cochrane, Willem Williamson, Christoph Clara, Mark Leonard, Luke Harris on loan, Ayumu Yokoyama, Alphonse Sampson on loan, Taylor Garden-Hickman on loan, Ben Davies from Rangers on loan, and then we've also got Lyndon Dykes, Scott Wright, Tamuki Iwata, and last but not least, Jay Stansfield.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that we've said about this, so we're not going to go over it in too much detail, but the fact that Stansfield came in on deadline day, it was just the cherry on the top of an unbelievable transfer window.
So I think that demonstrates, that represents a complete 180 reversal of the squad that we had and the squad that we've now got. So, it's hardly surprising that, that many players are going to take a little bit of time to sort of, gel and whatever term you want to do. So, but they're quality players. I mean, if you haven't seen the videos, if you want to go back and have a look at our channel, we've done a video on every single one of those arrivals. If you want to know a little bit more about them players, and for most of them, there's a nice little heat map there as well for you, which you can have a look at. In
fact, a few fans, this is going out on the Friday, but at the time of recording last night at the Walsall game, we're mentioning your heat maps, aren't they? And,
it's become a bit of a thing with me, unfortunately, hasn't it, as well? But, so a couple of questions for you. Let me just do one question, and I'll try and answer it as well. But let's talk about the departures. Is there any players there that have departed that you think, it's a shame they've gone?
I think Jordan James comes to mind.
Yeah.
I think because he this has been his boyhood club and he's grown through the youth system, and he had such a strong pre-season with the club as well. I think I wasn't surprised because we heard the Atalanta rumours in
Yeah.
January, but for me, I think that one is the one where I thought, he did have a bright future with us. It looked like he was settling into the team and could have made a real difference in League One. But on the flip side to that coin, it looks like we got a good amount of money for him. We managed to get Jay Stansfield out. So when you, if you have an overarching statement of the conclusion of that, it did actually worked out to be good business. But I think JJ is probably the one I wished I could have seen a little bit more down the Blues.
Yeah, but I think because of speculation, as you mentioned, he had in January, that sort of turned his head a little bit. And we know for the rest of the season, or the rest of last season, from January onwards, he wasn't at his best, was he? And I think he'd probably already made his mind up. I think a lot of Blues fans, including myself, were hoping that we might keep him. But he's a young lad. He wanted new adventures, and the only surprise was where he went. I mean, I didn't see that coming, to be honest.
Same.
To go to Rennes in France was not. I mean, he's playing in the top league in France, so obviously that's a factor there. But he could have played at definitely. A lot of Championship clubs would have probably picked him up.
I thought he was going to go to Atalanta because that was the club that was in for him in January. The rumours were circulating in the summer that Atalanta were back in for him, but no hard feelings with JJ. I do genuinely wish him all the best. He's one of mine.
He's one of mine as well. I mean, this might be a little bit controversial, but everybody knows, and I know that he couldn't stay, by the way. But a player that I'll miss. But if you ask me, would you want him to stay? He wouldn't fit in with the team now. He's Ivan Sunjic. I just liked his tear it up and breaking sort of down play and stuff like that. Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I'll miss him as a player, but I also realistic to know that he wouldn't be suitable for the squad that we now have.
But what I will say with a lot of the departures, Dad, a lot of them were bought in that mad buying spree that we had on wages, which were completely incomprehensible for the players that we had. So for me, actually, I don't mean this in a harsh way. I was very relieved when we got a lot of players off the books. It freed up a lot of salary. It got a lot of the old clan out of the club. And, the amount of season tickets we've sold down the Blues this season, that is a perfect example of a fresh energy in the club, we've been completely rejuvenated with the owners, with Chris Davies, with the players we've got in, which we're going to discuss. The fact that those players had to leave to make that transition, I'm not too sad about it. But I think JJ's the one for me who are possibly saddest I won't get to see developing down the Blues anymore.
What's your thoughts on Miyoshi going?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised because it was getting competitive, wasn't it, in that right-hand side, in the attacking right mid of the pitch. I like Miyoshi. I've met Miyoshi. He's a nice bloke, and I wish him all the best. But I think League One was arguably a little bit too physical for him, and I think he was getting muscled out in a few games, weren't he? Whereas Keshi Anderson has been giving us that stability on the right.
Yeah, I think that's why I sort of wasn't too worried that he'd gone, because we just felt, it's okay player and ability, but if you're going to get pushed off the ball, which he did a lot, to be fair, and that's not disputing, he's a decent player, but I wasn't too sad to see Miyoshi go. I know that Miyoshi's got a lot of fans out there from the Blues support.
I like him.
I think we like him as well. But I don't think anybody's overly sad he's gone. A bit like Bakuna, really. He's one of these players that I know that he obviously wore those Villa shorts, and that's a completely different story. But as a player, he had games where he was actually world class, and he had games where he was absolutely trash, wasn't he? So
Trash.
Well, do you know what I mean? He had games when he just went completely off the radar, and then somebody. It was really weird, wasn't it? It's either hot or cold with him.
Good player though, on his day. But you're right; those good days were not as rare as the bad days, sadly. But I didn't mind Bakuna. I thought he was a good player. But again, everything included, I'm not devastated he's gone.
Okay, so they're the players that are gone. Obviously, there was always the enigma of Sariki Dembele as well, wasn't there? He's another one, isn't he? That you think on his day he could beat anybody, but he just
too lazy.
Yeah, and
didn't track back.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad, to jump in, but just before we go on to the ones that have coming in as well, this isn't me sad, but I was hoping to see a bit more of Ramal Donovan this season, if I'm honest. And I know he's got the experience now to go out and learn. I think it's a good move for him. It's a good move for the club. I'm definitely happy he's been loaned out and not sold. But from what I saw in pre-season, clearly Chris Davies is the man. He knows what he wants. He knows what he sees. But I was hoping to see a bit more of Ramal Donovan.
We'll just buy a Burton season ticket and you see him all the time. Let's move on to the players that have come in there. Now I'm going to put you on the spot again here, because obviously I haven't asked this question before. Matt doesn't know I'm going to ask this, but if we've had some good players come in, haven't we? And I think we all agree, based on what we've seen so far, there's some excellent ones there. But I don't want to talk about every player because we've done that through the videos. But if I was to ask you, what was your top three at the moment? What would be your favourite three of the new signings? And that can include loan players as well.
Okay.
Where would you go with that?
Mark Leonard. for me, has been absolutely incredible. I think he's just brilliant. He's all over. He's snappy. He gives us the bite. He can then do the attacking side of the game as well. Fantastic. Clara, he's up there. He's just an absolute brick house.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And of course, the main man, deadline day drama has got to be Jay Stansfield. When that got announced, that was just incredible. And you know what, Dad? There's a couple in there I haven't mentioned who I love. Alfie May.
Yeah.
I think Williamson's really becoming strong. I love them all.
That's why I asked you about three.
Okay, if we're doing three, then Leonard, Clara, and Stansfield.
Okay, so I would pick Leonard as well in my top three, definitely, and Clara as well. So I'd pick those two. But I'd also some I've got a real sort of like of is Alex Cochrane as well.
Yeah, exactly. Alex Cochrane,
I like
brilliant
him.
player.
I think he's done really well at left back. Yeah, okay. There have been times when obviously we've been vulnerable at the back. I get that, but to me, I mean, you could easily pick like Jay Stansfield, like you've done, or Alfie May, because they're going to be the players that score all the goals. I'm sure they will become, or they already are actually, big favourites with the Blues fans. But based upon the performances that we've seen so far in the short amount of games that we've had, I would definitely pick, definitely Mark Leonard. Clara's been outstanding,
brilliant,
and for me, it'd be Alex Cochrane, and you would have gone for Jay Stansfield, wouldn't you?
Exactly. But again, Dad, Alfie May's in the mix. Cochrane would be in the mix for me. So it just shows how strong our summer transfer has been this season. It's been absolutely incredible.
And there's a lot we haven't seen yet as well. Obviously, because the transfer window has just closed, we've signed obviously the likes of Lyndon Dykes, Scott Wright, who scored that winner against Wigan, Ben Davies, who came in. Obviously, Jay Stansfield now has come back. So there's lots of players, Tomoki Iwata. They've all come in late in the transfer window, so we haven't had the opportunity to look at them or judge them really. Okay, we had the game against Walsall in the EFL Trophy, but a few of them sort of worked then, but played then. But I think we're going to see a lot more from this squad as well in terms of it developing and obviously players being used in different ways.
Do you know who I think we're going to see? Who we're going to. We're not undervaluing or underappreciating, but someone who's sort of going under the radar at the moment, but who's going to have a big impact this season. I think Lyndon Dykes, because the more I see these teams in League One, I think the more you arguably need a bit of a battering ram up front. When you get these big physical defenders that you're struggling to break down. And by the way, I'm loving the style of football. I need to keep reiterating this. I'm not saying let's hoof it. I'm not saying let's go back old school, long balls up to Lyndon Dykes. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we need to match some of these centre-halves for their physicality. And Lyndon Dykes, when he came on against Wigan, he was just pushing people around, and that's exactly what you need. So, and again, I have no doubt Stansfield and May are going to be our biggest attacking threats this year. I'm sure they're going to start odds on every game pretty much. But I've got a feeling Lyndon Dykes is going to have a big impact this season. Yeah,
well, I think we've got a squad now that can cope with different types of teams and styles, and and obviously injuries and suspensions. And I think every player in the squad is going to get their opportunity.
Squad team.
We saw that in the EFL Trophy, didn't we? 8 changes from the team that started against Wigan. All our internationals are away, so obviously got Bailey Peacock Farrell, we've got the two Icelandic lads, Samstead and Williamson. They're away with their country, and there's a lot that can be missing at certain times. And when you add in at the moment, at the time of recording, we've got injuries to Lee Buchanan, to Ethan Laird.
Yeah, almost forgot he was at the club for a second.
Been injured a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We've got Luke Harris is also injured as well, and Keshi Anderson. I've mentioned Ethan Laird as well. Yeah, Keshi Anderson as well. So we've already accumulated a few injuries, but we've got a decent now because of the transfer window. We've got a squad that can cope with pretty much any sort of outcome, really.
It's a fair question for you, Dad. What do you think Chris Davis's plan's going to be to keep everyone happy? Because that is a lot of players to manage. That's a lot of players to keep happy. And I know, I mean, football is all about winning. So Chris Davis is going to pick the team which has the best chance of winning. There's no doubt about it. But how do you keep a squad so full and a squad with so much talent?
I think you sort of answered your own question, Matt, because I think the mentality is this is a squad. We're all part of the squad. So the 11 that go out on that pitch that are picked to start, they represent the squad. And it's this mentality, we're all part of this squad. So even if you're on the bench, even if you're not picked on the bench, you are going to be called upon. So therefore, everybody wants to play. Of course they do. So I think it's this culture that's being created here where actually, you might not be in the first 11, but you're a really important part of this squad, and be ready because you will be called upon. And if you get your chance and you play well, you'll keep your place. So I think this sort of mentality that people think, if you're not in the 11, you're not going to be very happy. I think if you can create people's to buy into the whole squad concept, that if we win together, we lose together, then you're all part of the one squad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of players are going to want to play. Of course they are, but that's what you want. You want all of them to want to play. And I think the manager will be happy. Chris Davis will be happy if he's got players knocking on his door saying, I think. But ultimately he will make the choice, But knock on the door saying, I want a chance. Give me a chance. But they're going to have to prove it to him. They're going to have to show him on the training ground, and when they come on in games as well. This is what I love as well, Matt. Is if you come on in a game as a substitute and you don't cut it, chances are you might not even be in that squad next week.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you come on and you rip it up, Chris Davis, he can't ignore you.
I tell you, there's a few big things I'm noticing this season with the fresh squad. With the fresh energy. I'm noticing Chris Davis is commanding a really high level of respect of his players. When people talk in post-match interviews, like Keshi Anderson said when he went through, he was scared not to miss because he thought the gaffer was going to give him a mark. These sorts of things where and that's not a scary thing. That's just a gaffer commanding the best of his players, and if not, he's going to hold them to account. That sort of thing. So that's brilliant. Chris Davis has the respect of the team. I'm seeing a lot more togetherness this season.
Yeah.
When we score goals, everyone's bolting in and running around. There's a good connection with the crowd. There's a good connection with Chris Davis. Case in point, that right goal last minute against Wigan.
Oh, yeah.
All the players went round. It was absolutely amazing moment. That togetherness is back. And another one, which is a big one for me, which might be understated, and you referenced this in the post-Wigan match. Samstead got clattered in the game against Wigan, and Clara and Leonard went straight over and got amongst it, saying, back off, get lost. And that we haven't noticed that for a couple of seasons as well. So I think what Chris Davis is doing has been amazing. There's respect there. There's a togetherness there. And I'm noticing as well, final thing, is that when Chris Davis makes his substitutions, no matter how small, everyone is pretty much having a decent contribution into the game, aren't they? We have such a good squad now. These substitutions are having a huge impact,
which is what you want. You want to, that's what Ipswich did, didn't they? They had this when they played us at St.Andrews last season. We were winning 2-0 late into the game. And then Kieran McKenna brought on, I think, 3 subs in about the 70th minute. And they were so impactful. I think it was Marcus Harness, who's now at Derby. He scored the 2 goals at that time. But they just completely pressed us because they had the energy. That's what I think Chris Davis wants us to be. So, but I think the subs as well, from a psychological point of view, if I'm a substitute, I'm thinking if I want to start next week, now's my chance. So even if you give me 20 minutes, I'm going to run my socks off and I'm going to give you the best I can for 20 minutes. I love the competition. Let's just take one position very quickly as an example. Let's take right back. Before Alphonse Samstead came in, you could argue that maybe Ethan Laird wasn't playing his best. He was playing okay, but he weren't playing. And then suddenly Alphonse Samstead is signed, and then suddenly Ethan Laird's game goes up. And that's the same in every position now across the pitch, and I think that's absolutely brilliant. So I personally think this transfer window has been amazing. I think it's unprecedented it is unprecedented for League One. I think we spent more money in League One than virtually every. I think there's a couple of Championship clubs, and we have spent a lot of Premier League clubs as well. And I think we have brought in quality. I think it will take time, and I think we have to bear that in mind that you can't just bring in 17 players and expect it all to click like that. It's going to take time for them to work together, to play together, to train together, to understand each other's game. So it might take a while, but we need to be patient as Blues fans because once this team starts to click, I think we're in for some really exciting times.
I genuinely think when we do click, we'll be very similar-ish to Ipswich last season. High press, very intense, very dangerous every time they went forward. Their fullback contributing to goals, everyone contributing to goals. The whole team was chipping in for Ipswich last season. I think we'll see a similar-ish kind of Blues teams, and that's exciting. I loved watching Ipswich last season in the Championship. That is nothing to be shy or ashamed of. So I think that's what Chris Davis is aiming for. I'm not saying copying Ipswich. I'm just saying that style of high press, intensity. As I say, lots of people chipping in. So
why not copy Ipswich?
They've
worked for them, hasn't it?
Back-to-back promotion, so it's not to be sniffed at, is it? So
but
for
me, just a great transfer window, and also as well, just to express our gratitude really to Tom Wagner and Knighthead and everybody involved in financing the squad rebuild, and also for all the hard work that's been put on behind closed doors that I'm sure we don't even know a snippet of how the late hours and all the negotiations that took place. But thanks very much.
So as always, Blues fans, we'd love to hear from you. Please let us know in the comment section your thoughts on this incredible transfer window. I'm sure we we know what what your thoughts are. But as Dad asked me earlier in the podcast, what are your sort of favourite transfers, maybe your top 3 transfers? Please drop those in the comments section below. And if you did like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And we do have social media channels. We have an X page, an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify now as well, with those handles on the screen right now for you. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to press that big red subscribe button on YouTube so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video.